Bullies pushed a 90-year-old black veteran into the street, and what happened 20 minutes later changed everything. "Get out of the way, old man," shouted Tyler, the leader of the group, brutally pushing Samuel Washington into the middle of the busy avenue. The screech of tires echoed as a truck swerved inches away from the 90-year-old man. Samuel fell to his knees on the hot asphalt, his frail body shaking not from fear, but from a cold anger he hadn't felt in decades. The four teenagers burst into laughter, recording everything on their cell phones as if it were the biggest joke in the world. "Look, guys. The dinosaur almost got run over." Marcus sneered, immediately posting the video on TikTok with the hashtag #OldManOnTheStreet. "I bet he doesn't even know what the internet is." Samuel Washington had spent 30 years serving as a Navy SEAL, including 3 classified missions in Vietnam and 2 special operations in the Middle East. His medals were stored in a dusty box, along with photos of comrades who never made it home. At 90, his body was frail, but his mind remained sharp as a razor. "Do you need help, sir?" asked a concerned woman, rushing to help him up. "Thank you, young lady." "I'm fine," replied Samuel, wiping the blood from his scraped knee. His eyes, however, remained fixed on the group of young people who continued filming and laughing a few feet away. Tyler, only 17 but with the arrogance of someone who had never faced real consequences, approached again. "Hey, war veteran. Next time stay home watching your old people's TV shows and leave the streets to the young." The others laughed even louder. What they didn't know was that Samuel was still in close contact with his former comrades, many of whom now worked as instructors at the naval base just 15 blocks away. Samuel picked up his old cell phone with trembling hands, not from nervousness, but from a determination that his enemies on the battlefield knew well. He dialed a number he hadn't used in months. "Norfolk Naval Base, Commander Harrison." "Rick, this is Samuel Washington. We need to talk." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Sam? Good to hear your voice, brother. What's going on?" As Samuel explained the situation with the calm of a professional reporting on a mission, the 4 young men continued their private party, completely oblivious to what was being set in motion. Tyler even had the audacity to shout, "Hey, Grandpa. Who are you going to tell? Your friends at the nursing home." If they had known that on the other end of the line was an active Navy SEAL commander, they might have thought twice. But Samuel just smiled, the same smile his enemies saw seconds before their missions were completed. "Exact location?" Harrison asked, and Samuel could hear the sound of boots moving quickly in the background. "5th and Park Avenue. They're in an alley right now, bragging about what they did." The call ended, and Samuel put his phone away. For a moment, he just watched the 4 young men continue to record videos, posting their victories on social media, completely unaware that they had just awakened something that had been dormant for a long time. If you're enjoying this story about how arrogance can have unexpected consequences, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because what these kids are about to discover will completely redefine the concept of respecting your elders. While Tyler and his gang celebrated their victory by posting cruel memes about Samuel, something was happening 15 blocks away that they could never have imagined. At Norfolk Naval Base, Commander Harrison hung up the phone and immediately activated the intercom. "Attention, all available instructors. Emergency meeting in the briefing room in 2 minutes. Code Blue situation, veteran in distress." Within seconds, 8 active Navy SEALs dropped everything they were doing. Sergeant Rodriguez stopped in the middle of a hand-to-hand combat class. Lieutenant Mackenzie abandoned his half-finished report. Captain Thompson literally ran out of lunch. They all knew Samuel Washington by reputation, a living SEAL legend who had saved more lives than most of them could count. When Harrison quickly explained the situation, the silence in the room was deafening. 4 teenagers pushed Master Chief Washington into traffic for fun, Harrison said, his voice controlled but filled with icy fury. "They're filming it, laughing, treating a war hero like trash." Sergeant Rodriguez clenched his fists. "Commander, we need authorization for an educational operation." "You are officially off duty for the next 40 minutes, Harrison replied coldly. "What you do with that free time is your problem." Sinister smiles spread across the room. Message received. Meanwhile, Tyler had decided that humiliating Samuel once wasn't enough. He approached the elderly man again, broadcasting live on Instagram to his 3,200 followers. "Hey, Grandpa. Still here? I thought you went back to the nursing home." Tyler shouted. Guys, look at this fossil. I bet he doesn't even know what Wi-Fi is. Marcus had an even worse idea. Dude, let's make him dance. I'll play my music really loud. He connected his cell phone to a portable speaker and started playing music at full volume. Dance, old man. Show the camera how you used to have fun in the cave age. Kevin taunted, gently pushing Samuel by the shoulder. They surrounded Samuel, who remained seated calmly. To any casual observer, he looked like a defeated old man. But Samuel was doing something he had learned in decades of dangerous missions: calculating distances, memorizing faces, gathering information. You know what your problem is, old man, said Tyler, bringing his face close to Samuel's. You're from a time that's over. These days, we're the ones in charge, the young ones. Samuel finally spoke. Do you have families, boys? Tyler laughed loudly. Of course we do, you senile fool. Why do you ask? Because you're going to explain to them what you did today, Samuel replied, a barely perceptible smile touching his lips. At the naval base, the SEALs finalized their plan with military precision. Let's do this the educational way, Harrison instructed. No violence, no physical aggression. Just a civilized conversation about respect and consequences. Rodriguez smiled sinisterly. The kind of conversation they'll never forget. Thompson, you coordinate the perimeter. Rodriguez and Mackenzie, you make the main approach, Harrison continued, tracing routes on the map. I want them to feel like fish in a fishbowl. As the SEALs prepared, Tyler escalated his cruelty to a new level. He began mimicking Samuel, walking hunched over and speaking in a trembling voice while his friends recorded everything. Ouch, ouch, my back. I'll have to tell my grandchildren about the war. Blah blah blah, it was different in my day. The online audience was divided, but Tyler only saw the numbers, 847 live views and counting. Instant fame at the expense of a helpless old man. What they didn't realize was that Samuel had memorized each of their faces, their full names, the license plates of their cars parked nearby, and even their social media usernames. 30 years as a Navy SEAL had taught Samuel to observe, analyze, and act at the right moment. That's when Tyler made his stupidest mistake. He posted a story on Instagram showing exactly where they were, tagging the location, and writing, "Teaching respect to a war veteran who doesn't know his place." The story was seen by 2,300 people in minutes. Among them were 3 children of active military personnel who immediately forwarded the video to their parents at the naval base. Samuel received a message, "Video confirmed. ETA, 8 minutes. Boys," Samuel said, his voice taking on an authority that wasn't there before, "do you have any idea how many people are watching you right now?" Tyler checked his phone, proud. Almost 3,000. I'm going viral, old man. Sometimes fame comes in ways we don't expect, Samuel replied, slowly getting to his feet. As the boys braced themselves for more humiliation, 8 Navy SEALs donned their operational uniforms. Move in 5 minutes, Harrison announced. These boys are going to learn the true meaning of the word consequences today. Samuel continued to watch every movement, every arrogant gesture, every second recorded. Inside, a part of him, the part that had survived 3 wars, smiled with cold, calculating satisfaction. Tyler was still shouting taunts when he noticed Samuel typing on his cell phone. "What are you doing, old man?" "Trying to call the police." Samuel finished typing and looked up. "I'm not calling the police, son." "Then who are you calling?" Marcus sneered. "People who arrive much faster than the police," Samuel replied, "and who have a very particular view of respecting veterans." Tyler laughed nervously. For the first time, something in Samuel's tone bothered him. "What people?" Samuel smiled, the same smile his enemies saw before their missions were complete. "You'll find out in about 4 minutes. Because sometimes, when you push a person into the street, you're not just attacking a defenseless old man. Sometimes you're poking an entire network of brothers willing to do anything to protect one of their own." Tyler was still laughing when the first military engine roared around the corner. The roar of the first military engine was just the beginning. In a matter of seconds, 3 military vehicles appeared simultaneously from different directions, executing an encircling maneuver that Tyler and his gang had only seen in war movies. "What the fuck is this?" stammered Marcus, his cell phone shaking in his hand as he continued to broadcast live to more than 4,000 viewers. 8 Navy SEALs descended from the vehicles with the precision of a real military operation. They didn't run, they didn't shout, they didn't make threats. They simply walked with such absolute authority that the very air around them seemed to grow denser. Commander Harrison addressed Samuel directly, who slowly rose from the bench. "Master Chief Washington," Harrison said, executing a perfect salute. "I deeply regret the disrespect you have suffered today." Tyler finally understood that he had made a catastrophic mistake. Wait. This is just a joke, man. We didn't do anything wrong." "A joke?" repeated Sergeant Rodriguez, his voice cutting through the air like a knife. "Pushing a war veteran into traffic is a joke?" The comments on Tyler's live stream exploded. "Your F***CKED. Navy SEALs don't joke around. Someone record this. These kids are going to learn today." More than 8,000 people were watching live as what was becoming a life lesson broadcast in real time. "Please, sir," Kevin begged, trying to hide his cell phone behind his back. "We didn't know he was in the military." "You didn't know?" asked Lieutenant Mackenzie, slowly approaching. "So pushing any elderly person into the street would be acceptable?" Samuel watched everything with impressive serenity. "Commander Harrison, these young people clearly do not understand the concept of respect. Perhaps they need some educational guidance." "With pleasure, Master Chief," Harrison replied, making an almost imperceptible sign. The Navy SEALs positioned themselves in a circle around the 4 teenagers, keeping a respectful distance but creating an intimidating presence that was impossible to ignore. They didn't touch anyone, they didn't raise their voices, but the message was crystal clear: there was no escape. "Do you have families?" asked Rodriguez, using the exact same word Samuel had spoken minutes earlier. Tyler, who minutes ago had scoffed at the question, now trembled visibly. "Why, yes, sir." "Good. Because you're going to explain to them why 8 Navy SEALs came to talk to you today," Rodriguez continued. "And you're going to show them exactly these videos you recorded." Marcus desperately tried to stop the broadcast, but his hands were shaking so badly that he dropped his phone. The device continued filming from the floor, capturing the feet of the military men and the broken voices of the young men. "Master Chief Washington served 3 wars," Mackenzie said, his voice polite but cold. "He saved the lives of Americans like you. And you treated him like trash to get likes on social media. We want to apologize." Josh, the youngest of the group, shouted, tears beginning to stream down his face. "We'll never do it again." "Apologize." Harrison smiled coldly. "You're going to do a lot more than apologize." Samuel approached slowly, his voice low but heavy with the authority that decades of military command had forged. "Boys, you meticulously documented your own cruelty. You recorded it, you posted it, you laughed. Now thousands of people have seen who you really are." Tyler looked at his phone and realized the horror. 12,847 live views, hundreds of screenshots being shared, angry comments multiplying exponentially. His full name and location were public. "Your employers will see this," Samuel continued calmly. "Your schools, your families, your future employers. You have created a permanent record of who you are. Please take this down," Tyler begged, realizing that his life was being destroyed in real time by his own arrogance. "I can't do that," Samuel replied. "You chose to make this public. Now live with the consequences of your choices." The Navy SEALs remained in position for exactly 15 minutes, long enough for the lesson to be recorded not only on camera, but in the minds of the 4 young men. When they finally withdrew, Tyler and his gang were completely broken, whimpering like frightened children. "Master Chief," Harrison said before leaving, "it was an honor." "Semper Fi." "Semper Fidelis," Samuel replied, watching the young men now crawling across the floor looking for their cell phones with trembling hands. As the military vehicles disappeared into the distance, Samuel remained in the seat, watching 4 teenagers discover in real time that actions have consequences. His videos went viral in a devastating way, but not in the way they expected. What they didn't know yet was that their public humiliation was only the beginning. Because when you attack a Navy SEAL, even a retired one, you awaken a protective network that operates far beyond what any civilian can imagine. 3 weeks later, Tyler Morrison sat alone in the school cafeteria, carefully avoiding eye contact with the other students. The video of his humiliation by the Navy SEALs had gone viral in a devastating way. More than 2 million views, thousands of shares, and angry comments following him everywhere he went. "Hey Tyler!" someone shouted from across the cafeteria. "Where's your respect for veterans, man?" Laughter echoed throughout the room. He buried his face in his hands, realizing that this mark would haunt him forever. Marcus had been fired from his part-time job after his manager saw the video. Kevin was suspended from the school basketball team and lost his college scholarship. Josh simply stopped showing up for class, too ashamed to face his classmates who constantly reminded him of his cowardice. Their families were mortified. Tyler's parents even considered moving out of town after neighbors started avoiding them at the grocery store. "You raised monsters," Kevin's mother told the other parents at a tense meeting. "Now the whole community sees us as breeders of disrespectful kids. My son lost everything because of this stupidity." Samuel Washington, on the other hand, had become a national celebrity. The video of his dignity in the face of humiliation, followed by the military intervention, had touched hearts across the country. Invitations to speak came daily from schools, universities, and corporate events. A documentary about veterans had asked to tell his story, and 3 publishers wanted to publish his war memoirs. "Master Chief, here's your coffee." "On the house as always," said Jennifer, the owner of the bakery where it all began. "And thank you again for serving our country. My 12-year-old grandson wants to join the military after seeing your video." Samuel smiled kindly. "Thank you, sweetheart. But you don't have to do that every day." "Yes, you do," she replied firmly. "My grandfather was also a veteran. If he were alive, he would have done the same thing. And every week young people come here asking about you, wanting to meet the Navy SEAL hero." The table Samuel chose overlooked the street where the young men used to gather. Now it was empty. They had completely changed their routines to avoid any chance of encounter. When one of them occasionally appeared in the area, he would respectfully greet any elderly person who passed by, as if they were in constant public penance. Commander Harrison appeared at the bakery, as he had done every week since the incident. "Master Chief, how have you been? I saw you were invited to speak at the Pentagon about veteran integration programs." "Good, Commander. And thanks again for stepping in. You did more than discipline 4 young men, you sent a message to the entire community. Now I get letters from veterans across the country saying they feel respected again." "A necessary message," Harrison replied. "Those boys learned that actions have consequences. And they created the best unintentional educational program on respect we've ever seen." Samuel opened his cell phone and showed recent messages. "Mr. Washington, my name is Tyler Morrison. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I wanted you to know that I'm doing volunteer work at a nursing home every week, cleaning bathrooms and serving food. I hope one day I can make up for what I did." Another message from Marcus. "Master Chief, I lost my job and my girlfriend left me after the video. I'm in therapy and doing community service. I wanted to thank you for not pressing charges. I've learned that some lessons are more expensive than any fine. Are you considering responding?" Harrison asked. "Maybe," Samuel reflected. "Everyone deserves a second chance. But they have to prove they've learned their lesson." Tyler has been helping the elderly for 3 weeks now. Marcus started a support group for young people with anger issues. Small steps. At school, the principal had used the video as an example in a mandatory assembly on cyberbullying and respect. Tyler watched hundreds of classmates watch his humiliation again on a giant screen, this time as an example of what not to do. "Notice how 8 minutes of cruelty destroyed years of reputation," the principal explained. "And how a 90-year-old man showed more maturity than 4 teenagers combined." Tyler quietly slipped out of the auditorium, carrying the weight of his own stupidity. Every viewing, every comment, every school presentation was a constant reminder of how a few minutes of gratuitous cruelty can define a reputation forever. Samuel continued his daily walks, but now respectful greetings came from all sides. Children pointed at him and whispered, "That's the Navy SEAL veteran." Adults stopped to thank him for his service. Shopkeepers offered discounts without him asking. The city council had created a Samuel Washington Day to honor local veterans. "You know," Samuel remarked to Harrison during one of their conversations, "those kids did something I never thought possible at 90 years old. They gave me a new mission. Now I speak at schools about respect, consequences, and the true meaning of serving your country. I'm busier than I was when I was in the service. Harrison smiled. Master Chief, you've always been an educator. You just changed classrooms. 6 months later, Tyler finally worked up the courage to show up at the bakery when Samuel was there. He approached hesitantly, carrying a folder. "Mr. Washington," he said in a shaky voice. "I know I don't deserve your time, but—" He opened the folder, revealing hundreds of handwritten letters. "These are letters of apology from young people across the country who saw our video and regretted how they treated older people. They asked me to give them to you." Samuel looked through a few letters. Young people confessed to bullying their grandparents, disrespecting their old teachers, being impatient with slow drivers. "And these," Tyler continued, holding up a thick envelope, "are donations I collected for the nursing home where I volunteer. $47,000 from people who said your dignity inspired them to help veterans." Samuel was silent for a long moment, then held out his hand. "Tyler, I think you finally got the lesson." While Tyler and his former friends faced months of social and personal consequences, gradually turning their shame into genuine growth, Samuel thrived with a renewed energy that surprised even his doctors. His story had inspired thousands of people, reminding everyone that veterans deserve respect, no matter their age or appearance. What began as a cruel afternoon turned into the most expensive and transformative lesson 4 arrogant young men ever received. They learned that when you disrespect someone who has served their country, you're not just attacking one person, you're attacking an entire brotherhood that never abandons its own. Samuel Washington had proven that even at 90 years old, a Navy SEAL never loses his ability to stand up for what's right. And Tyler Morrison learned that some actions echo forever, especially when you document your own cruelty for the world to see. The real revenge wasn't the public humiliation the young men suffered. It was Samuel turning his pain into purpose, his humiliation into inspiration, and his advanced age into a platform to educate future generations about honor, respect, and dignity. Today, Samuel Washington is a motivational speaker, best-selling author, and government consultant on veterans programs. Tyler Morrison works as a senior center coordinator and is studying to become a social worker. The transformation was complete. The aggressor became the protector, and the victim became the leader. Because in the end, the best response to disrespect is not to stoop to the same level, but to rise so high that your opponents realize how small they really were, and if they're lucky, learn to grow up too. If this story of respect, consequences, and second chances touched your heart, subscribe to the channel for more stories that prove that dignity and honor always win over arrogance and cruelty, and that you should never underestimate the strength of those who have faced battles far greater than any daily humiliation.